the butt crack and film the sequel to Two Girls, One Cup. But it's like one Nick, one cup.
And a bean burrito.
So, hi Microshock viewers.
So anyways, since we did go to the mall where they filmed the original Dawn of the Dead.
The Monroeville Mall.
Thank you. We decided, you know what, we'll just do a review of a movie that we've both seen and we know inside out and backwards.
And made an impression on our psyches that made us who we are today.
No, that was how Stella got her groove back for me.
Oh, how Nicholas got his groove back. Holy shit, do I never want to see that on PornTube.
Anyway, so we're going to do a comparison between the two Dawn of the Dead movies.
So I guess we'll start talking about the Dawn of the Dead 1978, which, having just gone to the Monroeville Mall, Nick didn't even remember that it was called the Monroeville Mall, so it must have made a really big impression. I suppose we can start by discussing the symbolism inherent in Dawn of the Dead. What did you think about the inherent symbolism in Dawn of the Dead, Mr. Peron?
Not enough tits.
I agree. Not enough
No, I'm
boobies.
kidding.
Although,
zombie boobs would be fine.
No, we do talk about boobies a lot on Microshock, but no joke.
Especially if Seaver's writing it.
But back to the symbolism, not about boobs. We'll take the obvious choice, the mall. A lot of people will say that, George Romero meant to shoot at the mall to prove the social commentary of consumerism and how baseless and futile capitalism really is, and how we're all just kind of zombies milling around at the mall. Yeah, I suppose so, except any of the films that he did to follow up, Bruiser, It's Always Vanilla, Crazies, the Dead Time Stories series, while they're all good in their own right, none of them actually have the hard-hitting, driving, screaming social commentary, okay, that Dawn of the Dead did. At least I missed it if it was there. So, back to the symbolism. What does the mall represent today? I don't know. I don't go there. Whether it's Christmas time, whether it's just generally lurking around the mall to hang out and fight my way through, as Nick called them, hordes of angry teenagers. I don't know what the mall symbolizes today. I don't really shop, I don't like to shop, and I certainly don't like the mall. Plus all the good stores are gone, so what in the hell's the point?
I shop online.
It's safer that way.
Putting more fuel on the fire for the assholes on the internet who think I don't leave my parents' basement. This could be my parents' basement for all they know.
I wish we were filming this in your parents' basement.
No, my mom would keep on interrupting us every 5 minutes. Hey, you kids okay? Do you want some cookies? Do you want some milk? Rhonda, do you want some rye?
Absolutely, Mrs. Peron.
My mom loves the rye.
So, back to the inherent symbolism of Dawn of the Dead. If you look at the mall, the Monroeville Mall today, it's 2009, it still looks pretty good for a mall, but it's just that. It's a bloody mall. There's nothing symbolic about a mall. We're shooting this in America, and it's a country that thrives on capitalism. Actually, if we were to take out the capitalism variable in the equation, America would probably collapse. So I don't really find that symbolic, and actually I find that sad. So moving on to the next symbol.
Man's struggle to survive against unforeseen horror that's completely unexplained and beyond his control.
I.e. the apocalypse. I love an apocalypse film as good as the next guy, right? You too?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys can't say that you didn't sit at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning, probably trying to sober up. You'd all sit around and ask, what would you do in the zombie apocalypse?
I know what I would do.
There's online quizzes about this, there's handbooks, the zombie survival guide. Come on, you've all thought about it. What would you do in the apocalypse, Nick? What friends would you grab? What weapons? What car?
I'd go shopping.
Who would you...
The malls would be empty. I'm sorry.
Who would you take with you in the end of days? Those kinds of questions. So I guess that's kind of symbolic, the apocalypse, which probably already happened, ladies and gentlemen, and we missed the fucking trumpets. The horsemen, not coming. It's pretty much just us here and now. So, sorry to squelch any of you guys out there who actually are living in your parents' basement who think, what could happen in the apocalypse? What would I do? Nothing! It's never gonna happen. Move on to the next topic of Denny's conversation.
Keep on talking.
I don't know what in the hell the webmaster's doing, but As far as I'm concerned, in a zombie apocalypse.
I say on the good book. The good book. On the good book. What it says? What it says about the apocalypse. The good book, as they call it. Hold on.
Ezekiel 25. Ooh, wrong movie, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. It's not that great a book. Actually, wait.
Thank you.
Anyways.
We're not finding God in the zombie apocalypse either.
If I were to interject here with, I don't usually see a lot of the social commentary in movies, just because I'm a little slow. I'm lying, I do. But when it comes to the Dawn of the Dead, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so brilliant! You know, it's so subtle the way they did it." Oh, are you kidding me? Dawn of the Dead, the social commentary, or the accidental social commentary, whether it was intentional or not, you know what? It would take somebody with a doctorate to determine that. Me, I just write funny shit on websites, and so I'd have to say that the social commentary is about as subtle as getting hit in the face with a pot. And again, the commentary about the, I mean, really, I think the commentary that he was going for was the decay of the social order in face of a major disaster over the whole anti-capitalism thing. I think that if there's anything that Romero was would commonly do would be, I mean, beat Night of the Living Dead. I've never saw There's Always Vanilla, so I don't know what that's about. Possibly about vanilla?
Perhaps.
Okay. The Crazies was another one. Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Dead of the Dead, who knows, who cares?
Everybody's dead!
Fact is that the tenets of our society, the things that, you know, we go around, we follow the rules, we do what we're told, we have structure, we have order, we have everything, and then all of a sudden someone pulls out that linchpin of order. All of a sudden there's no police, there's no politicians, there's no...
Thank God.
There's nobody sticking their finger in you and telling you what to do. Bark like a dog is usually what they tell you to do, just so you know.
It's not a Wendy O. Williams reference, technically, but it can be.
So I mean, that's the whole thing that they're getting at, is that once you start pulling out all the orders and structure, and well, that usually does happen when there's a disaster. It doesn't have to be a zombie outbreak. It could be, you know, they drop a bomb, or, you know,
Hurricane Katrina.
Exactly. There we go. And
any type of war.
The zombies were circumstantial. It didn't have to be zombies, and that's the point. And I mean, the central focus on in the movie was not the zombies. It was the people, the survivors, and
it wasn't necessarily the good ones that were left. It wasn't necessarily the righteous ones that were left. It wasn't necessarily the really smart ones that were left. Those are the ones that survived for whatever reason. They may not have been necessarily smart, but they knew how to plan. They knew how to steal, and they knew how to shoot a gun.
So the remake, I mean, it tried its best to be similar to the original in that same setting, characters trapped in a mall. Of course, because it's a remake of a sequel, and of course, you know, probably some douchebag asshole in Hollywood said, well, you know, if you're going to remake the movie, you got to make it accessible to everybody. So they have the whole thing where the zombie outbreak starts versus it saying, well, this is a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. It's already happened. If you didn't watch the first movie, too fucking bad. You catch up on your own time. See you later. We're off in a helicopter. No, it's just a woman in a car. No, wait, somebody gets in a car accident. Anyway.
Basically, Sarah Pauli's character is fleeing from her husband who's been bitten. Her life is disintegrating before her, so the first thing she can think of to do is get in her car and drive. I'm kind of with Sarah on that one. However, when she sees the chaos on the highway, she realizes she's not getting very far. She takes a wrong turn, crashes the car, to be found by Ving Rhames. So they keep with the whole, if there is any social commentary, maybe it's a happy accident. Or maybe they're saying that we can all live together harmoniously despite our colors and different ethnicities.
So they end up in the mall, and of course, to try to make it edgy and modern and more shocking, there is the pregnant couple, well, they're not both pregnant. The missus is.
Yes.
And the zombie baby. So I mean, they did the whole switch over because in the original it was Daddy Dearest who gets bitten and Mommy doesn't find out she's pregnant until a little later. Versus the remake where she's already.
You will note in the remake of Dawn, no one cryptically says, like Kenny Foray does in the original, "Do you want to abort it? There's still time and I know how." Nobody says that in the remake. Goes back to making it accessible for all audiences and abortion a little naughty.
Yeah, and when you're in the kill or be killed situation, you're not quibbling with the morality of abortion.
Yeah, I don't want to be wobbling around with the equivalent of something that will
parasite.
lead me. Chances are in a zombie apocalypse, you're not going to be like waddling around like, "Ooh, must protect my child." No, you want to get the hell out and to someplace safe. And if you have to think not just about yourself, but your unborn child and whatever crew you may have dragging along with you, you're not going to make it very far.
And nothing says embarrassing than running away from a horde of hungry zombies and your water breaks. The ending. I was fine with dealing with everything else. I could handle that. But where I'm kind of like, okay, the fuck? And that's probably Hollywood, probably sticking its nose in your cooter.
Ew.
And it's a wet nose.
Ew. That's like a dolphin nose.
Oh. Anyway, is that they escape, they get on the boat, and they go to an island, and poof, there's more zombies. I don't want to know whether or not they live or die. That was the great thing about all of Romero's zombie movie. Well, except for the first one. That one had an ending. But with Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, yes, there were survivors at the end of the movie who managed to escape at that particular time. But do they end up living or dying? Who knows? It's left up to you. Like Dawn of the Dead, they leave in a helicopter that's almost out of fuel. One of them's pregnant. The other one, probably thinks they're going to die. He's not very positive. But like 2 minutes beforehand, he was going to blow his brains out and decide, you know what?
Back to that idea of one of those people that you just suck the life from the room and you get really tired. I don't want him in my helicopter.
Yeah.
I probably just pushed him out.
Anyway.
If you actually scour the internet, for those of you who don't already know this, there was another ending to Dawn of the Dead. If you really scour the internet, you can find out what that is. That was a nihilistic ending. I liked it. But the ending that we have now for all of the theatrical European and director releases, this ending is actually much better. The ending for the remake, little Blair Witch in the respect that it's basically the last thing you see is a camera falling and you hear some screaming.
Wobbly camera, and it seems like it was a bit of a homage to Fulci Zombie, which was the Italian sequel to Dawn of the Dead. Which, great movie, but so I think it was a little bit of a nod to that. I don't know. So they had this ending where you find out what happened. It was like, I like to call it the Gilligan's Island with zombies ending. Because they end up on a deserted island and zombies. Instead of the Harlem Globetrotters, they were fucking zombies and they get killed. Gilligan's Island reference.
Ooh.
Final point.
Number one. The best moment of Dawn of the Dead for you, Nicholas. What was it?
Fat guy with the eye patch.
The fat guy with the eye patch.
Yeah.
I don't like fat guys with eye patches, but I will
Smart
make an
guy,
exception for you.
He's like, listen to me. He's an intellectual. He's telling people how you can fucking survive, and nobody's listening to him. I can feel for him.
Nobody was to listen to intellectuals anyway.
Yeah.
Not even during an apocalypse, apparently.
And here's the voice of reason. Here's the guy who's telling you, okay, we've got to
must remain emotionless.
Thank you. And that's the whole point. This smart guy, the one person who has a cool head and, is saying, logic will prevail. You've got to stop thinking in terms of emotion in order to get through this. It's like... Oh,
I wish a lot of people would actually do that today, in 2009, but they don't.
He was a scientist, was he?
I believe so.
And of course, scientists are telling you, hey guys, don't fucking do that. You could have been telling them, don't put your tongue on a battery. But it's like, oh, what do you know, scientist? Oh, I don't know. Maybe he spent his entire fucking adult life studying science to, I don't know, unbiasedly test something out and say, okay, here's my hypothesis, here's my conclusion, I've done all the work, here's the work, and here's the thing. Nobody's going to read that work. They're just going to look at the answer and be like, no, fuck you.
It's the joke about PhD dissertations. But after you're done writing the dissertation, you've published it and turned it in, put a 20 inside. Put it on the shelf in the university library. Come back a year later, pull it off the shelf, you'll find your 20. No one's read it, no one cares. But you'll get your 20 back.
I'd rather put it in a bank, at least then I get interest. I think we're done. Any final words, Dr. Baughman?
Final words. 1978 Dawn of the Dead, far superior to the 2004 remake, although James Gunn did try, and I appreciate that effort, I really do. Characters not believable, didn't really care about them in the end. The Let's Go Die moments were quadruple folded in that film from the 78 version. And while the music was good, thank you Tyler Bates, it just was not Dario Argento. They're tough acts to follow, I know that, but keep trying. Mr. Peron, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. Again, also gonna say, very partial to the original. Remake, good show, but can't win every ball game. What I would recommend for future filmmakers, when you got a classic, never remake it, ever.
Don't.
There's a reason
Stop
why it's a classic. Stop it. No. Bad director.
We're not scientists, but you should still listen to us.
Oh, I've got a PhD in assholery.
Got that right.
But, I mean, seriously, I mean, whether it be a remake of Psycho, we talked about that, a remake of Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, any of these remakes, there's a reason why the original was good enough for you to go, you know what, it'd be really awesome, I love this movie so much, I'm going to remake it. Don't.
Got that right, too.
Stop. The only remake I've ever seen that was better than the original, Amityville Horror, which I feel very dirty saying that, because it's a Platinum Dunes,